And welcome back to CBS News 24/7 Primetime. I'm Juliette Goodrich. CBS News projected Abdul El-Sayed has defeated Congresswoman Haley Stevens in the Democratic Senate primary election in Michigan. The former health official will go up against Republican Mike Rogers in November. This Senate primary was seen as a litmus test of sorts for how progressive Democrats could perform in statewide elections. So joining me now is Corbin Trent. He is a former national campaign coordinator for the Bernie Sanders campaign. He also recently served as the communications director for Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Corbin. So let's talk about this. El-Sayed's win was narrower than polls suggested, for one. Is that concerning to you? Can he build a coalition that will actually win over enough voters beyond the Democratic base?
I mean, it's concerning to me for pollsters, but not for, I think it's pretty incredible that he won, right? You got to look at what he was up against. He was up against, I don't know, I think the last number I saw was like $60 or $70 million in ads that were just pouring and pouring and pouring, mostly negative against him. And he still was able to win that victory by 1%. And, it was massive turnout. Massive turnout. I believe it was more than the last midterm primary. I don't think he's going to have a hard time uniting the Democrats. I think what I'm excited to see is how he unites independents and some Republicans, because I think that there is a dissatisfaction in this country with the status quo. And I think that's why people turned to Barack Obama. That's why they turned to Donald Trump. That's why they were excited about Bernie Sanders or whomever, right? There is a desire in this country for transformative change. And I think people like Abdul El-Sayed and Donovan McKinney and others that won in Michigan represent that change.
What do you say to critics who argue that wins by progressive Democrats actually risk the party's chance of gaining control of the upper chamber?
I mean, I think that we've not had massive majorities basically since, 2010. And the biggest majorities that Democrats have ever had happened in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and then again in the 60s. And those massive majorities came when the American people were being delivered to in tangible ways by their government. And that has been something that this Democratic Party has forgotten. They've actually turned their back on it. And instead, they've turned their attention to placating donors and placating business leaders instead of building the things that Americans need, whether it's homes and housing, hospitals and maternity wards. They've gotten away from doing the work of making people's lives better. And I think that, that we're going to see that if we can get this done, if we can get people like Abdul elected, people like Will Lawrence elected in Michigan 7, who's in a swing district, and, Malat Quiros and so many others. And we can show that there's a different path forward for America, rebuilding our infrastructure, but also rebuilding our industry, and that Donald Trump does not have a monopoly on wanting to bring jobs back into this country. Then I think we're going to do a lot better. And I think we're going to head towards supermajorities again.
So support for Israel has been a major point of contention for Democrats. So what should El-Sayed do to heal this rifts in the party right now?
I mean, I don't think it's actually that big of a rift in the voters. That's the interesting thing. Like, even among Republicans under 50, it's 60% of 60% of Republicans under 50 don't support our continued aid to Israel. Democrats, I think 80%, something like that, of Democrats do not support the continued aid to Israel. It's not really a split. It's like so many other splits that you see among Democrats. It's a split among people that are in leadership. And at fightworthhaving.com, we just put out a series of 3 polls in Democratic strongholds: Arizona 4, Michigan, and then Missouri 1, and New York 15. And what you can find is that the Democratic Party is done with this leadership. They're also done with AIPAC. AIPAC is the least favorable thing that we polled in all 3 districts, and we tried a lot of different things. So, I don't think that the rift to be shortened is between the electorate. It's between the electeds, and they've got to understand that we do not like the idea of supporting a genocide. We do not like the idea of our bombs and our money being involved in it. This is not what the American people by and large want to do, and that includes many people in the Republican Party.
Corbin Trent. Corbin, thank you.